For years, before I got the grapple on my tractor, every one of these logs that came out of this forest were dropped into a trailer and taken out of that trailer here at the woodshed using a pair of log tongs chained to the top of this bucket. There's a better way. Since shortly after I got my B2601, almost 5 years ago, it became apparent I needed a pair of hooks on that bucket. Although I now have pallet forks and I have a grapple, you don't always have either one of them on the tractor at the time you need to lift something with the bucket that doesn't fit in the bucket. Like you, I spent a lot of money on that tractor. There's a lot of different modifications you can do at different price points, but when it comes to some piece of equipment or some modification that's going to be under serious load or capacity or lift requirements, you got to get something that's quality built. Today on GP Outdoors, I've given my bucket a makeover. I hope you'll stick around. You got to see this. So many times over the last couple of years, I came this close to buying a different product. Good quality built product, but it seemed like there was something missing. So I kept holding off, and I'm glad I did. I recently ran into a gentleman named JUFabWorks. He started his own company down in Michigan in the United States, JUFabWorks. I'll put the link down below. 100% American-made product, and it has everything I was looking for. I bought one of his products. It's called the WorkMaster Plate. 100% US steel, 100% made in America. And she fits like a glove. This WorkMaster Plate will offer you two 5/16 grab hooks with a 4,700 pound working load limit, two grab rings with a 5,000 pound working load limits, and a 2-inch receiver for my trailers. And it's a bolt-on attachment, so even someone like myself who doesn't know how to weld or is not that mechanically inclined can get her safely and securely attached to the bucket. Today, I'm going to show you how I install it, and then we're going to try it out. Here's what you need. The WorkMaster comes with instructions as well as all the grade 8 hardware required to install it. You're going to need a tape measure and a pencil, a center punch and a hammer. You're going to need 2 drill bits, a 1/8 to start your hole and a 7/16 to finish it. You're going to need a 5/8 wrench, 5/8 socket. You may need an extension if you don't have deep sockets, and you're going to need a torque wrench. A couple of C-clamps to hold her in place, your drill, preferably a metal file, but since I didn't have any, I'm just going to grab a putty knife in the event I've got burrs on the end of those holes. A little bit of drilling oil. In my case, I'm just going to use some motor oil, a rag, and don't forget, gloves and glasses. So my first step was just to find the exact width of the bucket and center my plate. I marked it and I clamped it down in place. I'm not going to give you what I call pro tips because I'm not a pro, so I'm going to call them amateur tips. You'll probably notice that I veer away from the instructions just a little bit because I don't do this type of thing often, and I noticed that the holes or the placement of the holes and the size of the bolts were very exacting, which meant I needed to make sure that I drilled my holes in the exact spot I needed to. There's not a lot of tolerance for error. So instead of clamping the plate down and then center punching all of my holes and then drilling them out, I thought it was best for me to just take it 1 or 2 bolts at a time. So you'll see I started on the right side of the plate, center punched my holes, took the plate off, used my 1/8, drilled my pilot, and then drilled out both holes. Then I put the plate back on, put the bolts through to check to make sure I had them in the right spot, clamped the plate, and then I did the 2 bolts on the far left. And I repeated that process to make sure that all 4 bolts fit properly. Then I center punched and drilled out my last 2 holes. You probably noticed I started with a 1/8 bit, but I don't know if maybe I just had a really dull bit, but that 1/8 would not bite the steel. So I moved up and I used a 5/32 bit, and that seemed to work much better. I also learned that when you're drilling steel, you have to drill very slowly. It's not like drilling a piece of wood, and you need to use oil often. If you don't, the bit will heat up and you'll start to see it smoke from the hole. Unfortunately, I didn't have a metal file up here at the cabin, but my putty knife worked just fine for clearing the burrs out of the bottom of the hole. Despite taking this hole by hole and step by step, you're still going to see that that 5th bolt for some reason had a hard time getting in the hole. My hole was just slightly off. My neighbor told me that it's sometimes common that when you're drilling out the hole, the bit will start to drift a bit. And I guess that's what happened here. I got the bolt in there. After that, you just snug up your bolts and your nuts. You've got a washer on the top and you need to put a washer underneath with the nut. and then you torque them all to 70 foot-pounds. And that's it. It was a great project for a Saturday for me. This WorkMaster plate is built tough. It's 1/4 inch A36 grade US steel, and it's formed along the front for extra strength. I know you may see some types of bolt-on accessories or hooks for buckets will come with a back plate that's supposed to go underneath the other side of the bucket. This WorkMaster is 22 inches by 6 inches. It's 1/4 inch steel, and it's formed. It's got grade 8 hardware, and based on its design, any type of force you apply on that plate is going to be distributed across that large surface area. So back plates are not required. Let's go try it out. If you're a new tractor owner, you may have already learned that whenever you lift or pull or do anything with your front end loader, you always try to make sure that you equal the weight or you spread the weight equally across both loader arms. I like this WorkMaster plate because it sits right in the middle, which means anything I lift or pull, spread equally across the loader arms. You never want to dig with the corner of your bucket or pull with one side of your bucket or lift something that's abnormally heavy on one side versus the other. You'll probably notice when I'm using my grapple in the forest that quite often I'll pull a log out from where it sits, and as soon as I get enough area, I'll drop the log, reposition the tractor, and grab the log in the center, or at least the center of where I believe the weight is, so that I'm not carrying that log weighted too heavily to one side of the loader arms versus the other. Jeff also makes a second type of plate called Taskmaster plates, and these are two smaller plates, but one is to be bolted to the left side of the tractor and one to the right, once again allowing you the ability to lift or pull and spread the weight of that load across your loader arms. So this is a pretty handy attachment. I actually have one of those clamp-on trailer hitches that go on the bottom plate of your bucket. You probably noticed I've used it once several years ago. It's the one and only time I ever used it. One of the benefits of it is it's down low, so if your trailer is in the mud or it's down really low, you can get under it. But the two cons to it is that you're putting all of the trailer weight, especially with my 2,000-pound boat, right on an unsupported lower plate of this bucket. And as you know, if you put too much weight in the middle of that bucket, over time, your bucket's going to start to smile. The second issue with it, of course, is you can't see it from the driver's or the operator's seat. So you're kind of guessing where you're going. It's nice about having it up high. I can see it, and when I start to drop the bucket low, I just have to turn to the left or the right of the steering wheel and I can continue to see it. She's a little higher, but it just means I got to jack the boat up a little bit higher to get in it. Either way, at the end of the day, it's simple, it's there. I don't have to go get equipment. If I do have a trailer that's got a tongue down on the mud and I need to get low, I just put the hitch on the back of my 3-point. That way I can drop low and sneak in underneath it and pick it up. Well, I got to tell you, it's only the first day, but I love having these hooks and this bracket. It's working out just as I expected. Really glad I waited. Just so you know, I purchased this WorkMaster plate myself, but for full disclosure, Jeff was kind enough to give me a discount. In fact, he's so kind, he's going to extend a discount to all of you as well if you're interested. You'll find the discount code right below in the description of this video. And hey, the good news doesn't stop there. Jeff was also kind enough to partner with me to make spring a little extra special for one GP Outdoor subscriber. We're going to do a spring giveaway. We're giving away a WorkMaster Plate. If you want to be eligible to win, you need to leave a comment below this video, and somewhere in your comment you need to write the word JUFabWorks, as you see on the screen. In 72 hours, I'm going to go in, use a random comment selector, and pick a winner. You have to be a resident of Canada or the United States, and you have to be 18 years of age. Just as a quick reminder, Jeff makes these WorkMaster Plates for John Deere Series 1 through 5, and he's just started making them for Kubota. I believe he's got BX, B, LX, L, and some M bucket models. But I'd recommend you go on his website, check it out, and make sure that the model bucket number that you have is listed there under his WorkMaster Plate. I hope you found the information today valuable, or at least of interest. If you like the channel, please click subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to know when I'm posting more videos, just click that little bell icon. Have a great week with your families. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you again right here. I'm Gord Potter, and you've been watching GP Outdoors. Cheers.
Go there.